our Mori model design, right? So that we have taken one example. All of you show me your face, your example that how to convert the non-return zero format into Manchester code, right? Manchester code. In this conversion, we came to know that we needed to have some intermediate state. In that state, we will not read the input, right? Because we did not complete the transition that is needed to take decision for the first bit that we received. So every bit we needed to go to the intermediate state. So this also will be there in the application now. So why the reason for taking this application is just to introduce you that we needed to introduce some intermediate or temporary state also while moving from one state into the another state, right? Or when we introduce the transition from one state into another state. So all these are depends upon the applications. There is no any standard that for this application should have this one, this application should have this one. In fact, based on the requirements also, right? Application as well as the requirements, right? Okay. So, so maybe one intermediate state or two intermediate state. So all those things you can introduce. We needed to introduce, right? Okay, fine. Now we know why we represent the output within the state, because in Mori model, the output depends only the state. Therefore, the state should get transferred first of all. There should be a transition first of all before changing the output, right? So all those things we have seen. Then we derived the state table, and then we formed the state diagram, state table, and then state excitation table now, right? So we were planning to implement this circuit using the SR flip-flop now. So how many you all of you got the equation? So I'm drawing here SR flip-flop because we are in need of two flip-flop. This is S or S1 R1, S1 R1. This is S2 R2, SR flip-flop 1, SR flip-flop 2, right? And then Q1 of T, Q2 of T, Q2 of T bar. Maybe Q1 of T, Q1 of T bar, and then Q2 of T, and then Q2 of T bar, right? So now you tell me the output function, the Y is the output, and then the X is the input. So now you tell me what is the combinational circuit here and here that is required for this application. What is the equation for S1 after your implementation? You tell me these values. S2 R2, what is S2 R S1 R1 batao? Zero to 1. Anyone can tell me. 0 to 1.
1 0.
1 0. Next. Next. 1 0 to 1. 1 0. Okay. 1 to 0.
0 1.
0 1. 1 to don't care. So you can take it as don't care conditions, right? Next here, matlab you take you maintain that value now. Maybe this will not go to that state no, so no, that condition will exit now. Next here,
1 0.
1 0. Tell me, continuously tell me. Next
1 0.
1 0. Dash. Next
0
0 1.
0 1. Here 0 don't care.
1 0.
1 0
1 0.
1 0.
1 0.
0 1
0 1.
don't care 0.
Okay, dash. X1, S1, S1. You mean here?
Sir, the port entry.
Sir,
In
S1
S1
bar 2, sir, 0 1.
S1
Input at 1. Input at 1 at 0 1.
in S1 for
That would be 0. Means don't care should be there.
here
If the yes, sir. If the input is 1.
here instead of 1 don't care. Whether-
When the input is 1, sir. In the S1.
Okay. Here. Right.
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
no
Yes,
square,
sir,
no
this
square.
is-
Fine. And, okay, I got next.
0 1.
Next.
Don't care 0.
Don't care 0. Next. Dash
0 1.
0 1. Okay, fine. Now tell me the equation that you got for S1 is equal to R1 is equal to S2 is equal to R2 is equal to what? Equations you got?
Sir,
Ah,
sir, for while solving the K maps, do we have to take don't care in place of dash?
yes. Don't care in place of dash.
Sir, S1 is Q1.
S1 equal to Q1. R1
Q1.
R1 equal to
Q1, sir.
also Q1.
Oh, sorry, sir. S1 is Q1 bar, sir.
S1 is Q1 bar.
Okay. X, what is it? S2 is X plus Q1. Okay. X plus Q1. Okay. There is a clock. Q1, Q2, Q1 bar, X bar. Okay. Draw the circuit for this one then. Oh, Q1 bar, X bar. Okay. Draw the circuit for this one then. S1 goes to Q1 bar. Then R1 is nothing but Q1 S2 is X plus Q1. S2 is X plus Q1. X plus Q1. R2 is Q1 Q2. Q1 Q2 Q2 plus a Q1 bar X bar. And Q1 bar. Q1 bar X bar. Then what is a Y output? Output equation Y. Here 0, 0 1 में 1, 1 0. Sorry. S not yes. What is the state diagram? S not. Yeah, if the state is S not, the output is 0. Correct? No. S1 also output is 0. S2 is 1, and then S3 is 1. Correct? S3 is 1. Therefore, what is output equation now? These three for this one for output now. So Y is equal only Q2. Okay. So this is only the output. That's all. Sometimes you will get circuit decay, sometimes you will not get that. It depends upon the logic. So this circuit will give you your NRZ2 Manchester code. Okay, fine. Now the question is how to implement this one now. How to implement it in the FPGA, right? That is the question one we need to discuss now. See, all of you listen me. So this is the way how we have implemented this kind of circuits in the MSI technology or LSI technology. Then you need to select the SR flip-flop IC, then some AND gate, OR gate, mount them on the breadboard, make proper wiring around it, give the clock, and then you got the output. But now in the VLSI technology, particularly in the VHDL implementation, we no need to worry about state table, state assignment, right? State excitation table, state table, then replacing the variable by the binary assignment, and then state excitation table, applying the Karnaugh map, implementing the equation. Nothing is required now. What you need to do, first one is you draw the state diagram. Draw the state diagram, right? Then you simplify the state diagram. Apply the state reduction. Apply the state reduction algorithm. Apply the state reduction algorithm, because these two are the simple example. Therefore, straight away we can assume and take it as the simplified and optimum state diagram. Sometimes we cannot derive the optimum state diagram in the first go. Therefore, we need to apply some state reduction algorithm that we will see subsequently in the asynchronous sequential circuits, through which you will come to know that is there any possibility for state reduction, right? So suppose initially if you derive 12 states, after applying this algorithm, you will come to know that 12 states are not required, 8 states are sufficient, or 6 states are sufficient. Because the reason for applying the state reduction is you will have drastic reduction in the requirement of the flip-flops. Suppose, for example, you are in need of 8 flip-flops in the first glance of your state diagram. After applying the state reduction, if you come to know that we need only, 8 states are there, right? We need only 6 states to know. In this case, 8 states means you need 4 flip. Required to implement the circuits will drastically come down, right? If it is if anything is possible for reduction, state reduction in your application now. So you apply the state reduction algorithm, then straight away we can proceed for VHDL implementation. VHDL implementation. That means we no need to worry about all these things nowadays, because we are writing the program at the top level using the variable S0, S1, S2. Straight away you can write the program. If state equal to S0, then next state equal to S1 and output equal to this one. If state equal to S1, then next state equal to S2, output equal to this one. If the input is this one and the state equal to this one, you understand, no? So your implementation will be at the very top level. So straight away you can write your state diagram, right? We will see in the lab afternoon how to implement the circuit now. The idea is, if your state diagram is optimum, then you can go for straight away implementation in the FPGA in VHDL programming. We no need to replace the S0 by binary variables. We no need to replace the binary variables by the excitation table, and then excitation table into equation into circuit. Nothing is required now, right? But all these things will be taken care by the tools. But finally, your circuit will be implemented by Boolean expressions only now, right? Because ultimately it has to connect the gates together, flip-flops together, or some LUTs. So it will be down. It will be moved down. It will be further reduced down to the ground level, means the gate level, Boolean equation level, right? So all those things will happen by the tools. So we no need to worry about the equations. But this is the procedure now. The same thing will happen by the tools inside your VHDL design procedures, right? So that we'll see in the afternoon how to implement this code as well as the other code, how this will work after implementing it in the FPGA now, right? So in FPGA implementation, for our experimental purpose, what we needed to do, or what we are going to do afternoon is, suppose this is the FPGA, right? We are going to implement Mealy machine as well as the Mori model in the FPGA afternoon. So input X will come here, then output Y will be here now. This is the input, this is the output. This is the input and this is the output now. And then we needed to feed one clock here, right? This is the clock, right? This is the onboard clock. So our FPGA is 50 megahertz. 50 megahertz onboard clock is there, right? Then see, now since it is the experimental testing of our finite state machine, manually we are going to feed the data here now. Suppose if I take the sequence 1101, I'm interested for detecting this 1101 sequence, then you need to feed the 1 here, and then you need to feed 1, then 0, then 1, right? Or any combination, 100, 1100. So as long as you are not feeding this predetermined sequence, then this LED will not be on, right? So at the moment, when this circuit, when this FPGA receives 1101, at that instant the LED will be on. At that instant this LED will be on. And then overlapping, without overlapping, with overlapping, all those things you can test it. That Sampurna will demonstrate to you today, all these things. Now the idea is, listen, suppose this is working at a high speed now, 50 megahertz speed. So if you allow your FPGA to read the input at 50 megahertz speed, can you manually feed the 11101 into the FPGA? It is practically impossible now, because you do not know when this guy is reading the data, and at that speed you cannot feed the input into our FPGA. Therefore, you are going to down convert it into low frequency now, maybe 0.5 hertz. 0.5 hertz. I'm down converting this 50 megahertz into 0.5 hertz now. And then to indicate me, I'm going to use one more LED here. This is LED. This LED is 0.5 hertz LED. 0.5 hertz LED now, right? So idea is, when this LED is off, I got to set the input here now. I got to set the input here. When this LED is on, that means when rising edge is coming, I am going to read this input into FPGA now. You understand now how I am externally synchronizing the input into the circuit now? So what I am going to do, I am going to convert this 50 megahertz into 0.5 hertz signal, 0.5 hertz frequency. Then the 0.5 hertz will be something like this. Something like this now. So for this rising edge, I'm going to read this input here now. I'm going to read this input now, right? So in order to start the program, I'm going to give one more control start. One more control start here now, right? So I powered the board. So board is ready for reading this start input now. Once the start input is given, initially my clock will be 0. I have sufficient amount of time to set the input here because my clock frequency is 0.5 hertz, very low frequency, less than 1 hertz here, right? So when this LED is off, after giving the start input, then I am setting here 1 now, right? Then at this instant of time, I set to 1 here the input no. Then when this rising edge is coming, 0.5 hertz at 0.5 hertz, when this rising edge is coming, this 1 will be taken into the circuit now. Then automatically circuits will transfer its state from one state into the another state now. Then one falling edge will come. Then again 0 is here now. This 0, whatever the input I want to set, I'm going to set it here now. Maybe you can keep here 1 or you can keep here 0 now. You understand the idea? Because I should have sufficient time to change my input in this experiment. If you allow your circuit to work at 50 megahertz, you will not have the time to feed the input, because if you give 1 here, at a fraction of second, everything will be taken as 1 only. You got the idea now? Because it is reading the input at 50 megahertz speed, very high speed now. So I am reducing the clock into low frequency now. So I am setting the input. Again you give the second input here. Then again you give the third input here. Then fourth input here. Then at this place you will get your output indication now. Either 1101 is detected or some other sequence is detected. If some other sequence is detected, your LED will not glow at all. At the instant when your FPGA received 1101, your LED will be on now, right? For timing management, we introduced this start input as well as this input now, because we should know when I have to set my input, when I have to change my input now. So for that, this 0.5 hertz LED also is indicated. So that LED, when it is off, we have to set the input. When it is on, we have to circuit will read that input. It will take inside and accordingly it will change the state from one state into the another state now, right? So you should understand here how we are synchronizing the external input into the internal operations now, right? So some indications we are bringing out with respect to this indication. I'm giving the inputs here. Therefore, this process and the input and this indication and output, clock, start, everything is in control now. The timing management is attained on all this input, output, clock, reset, everything. So frequently I told you, time management in the FPGA is very much essential now, because at the fraction of second, so many computation will happen now. Million into million computation will happen there. Million into million resources will be utilized there within a fraction of second now. So everything should be within our control. Complete time management control is very much essential here now. So we are going to implement this circuit in the afternoon lab session. How start is controlling the everything, how that low frequency is controlling everything. You understood now? So while doing the laboratory experiment, you will get clear idea of this time management and then taking the decisions, whether 1101 is received or some other sequence is received, right? In the same way, you are going to implement the NR reset into Manchester code converter also. 2 experiments will be demonstrated you today. So through that 2 programs, you will get clear idea how Mori model will be implemented and how Mealy model will be implemented and how the start, enable, or all those things are required for this kind of high level time management or time controlled executions or operations in the FPGA now, right? Because if you slip somewhere, then everything will be wrong because of high speed computations inside now, right? So that is very much essential now. You got the idea now? This one? Okay. Further, I will continue in the afternoon lab session. With the program, you will get clear idea now. Next, now we are proceeding for vending machine controller. That is also our afternoon experiment. 3 experiments we are planning to demonstrate to you today. Vending machine control design. Vending machine, escalator, then your Zigbee interface. So many applications are there based on this logic now, right? So that logic we are going to discuss right now. I will not draw the state diagram. I will let you to draw the start diagram. You draw the state diagram and prepare yourself for the afternoon lab. Then straight away we will implement it now. So this is my vending machine controller. Anything? Okay, fine. You know what is vending machine controller, right? Suppose we will limit our what is vending machine controller? You all know, right? Okay. So suppose we will assume for 3 drinks, maybe Coca-Cola, Pepsi, or some other Sprite, something. 3 drinks. So my delivery will be end delivery will be D1, drink 1, drink 2, and drink 3. These 3 will be our output. This machine should to deliver us drink 1, drink 2, drink 3, right? We assume in general, whatever the drink you like, you keep there. So now the idea is, suppose you assume this is the drink tank, DUP, right? Drink tank is there. That it is inside, right? It is inside this cabinet. It is inside the cabinet now. So this is the outlet. This is the outlet. Assume maybe something like that. This is the outlet, right? This outlet will be controlled by solenoid valve. Solenoid valve. Solenoid valve. Solenoid valve in the sense it is a electromechanical switch. It is one electromechanical switch. Electromechanical switch. That means it is something like that. This is the pipe, right? This is some system here. It is some system is here, right? So I have some coil system here. So whenever I power this coil, automatically this rod will be attracted here. So this fellow will come out here. So when this rod is coming out here, then automatically there is a liquid flow now. There is a drink flow now. You understand now? It is something like this. Suppose this is the pipe here. If this is the pipe you assume now, right? Solenoid, we will show you in the lab, right? If you come here, you can show you everything in demo me. So it will be something like this now, right? You assume that it is inside, right? So drink is here. It will completely block the drink flow. So when I power this one, then this will be observed by the electromagnet here, like the calling bell. So what will happen? This fellow will be observed something here like this. So this will come out here. So once it comes, liquid flow will be there now. Liquid flow will be there now. So I want to deliver 1 cup of drink. 1 cup of drink now. Then there is a standard size now. 1 cup of drink means maybe 5 seconds or 10 seconds I should make the valve open. So if I make the valve open for 5 seconds, right? 5 seconds, I know the rate of flow of this liquid. I know the diameter of this pipe now. Understand? So that will deliver the sufficient amount of liquid to the cup that is kept outside. So it is closed now. I am giving one pulse now, right? That the pulse will trigger the solenoid. It will come out. Liquid flow is there. Cut off the power. It will come and close it now. It will come and close it now. This is the operation of the solenoid valve. Solenoid liquid control or solenoid valve. Maybe if you go to some star hotel or maybe in your house also, if you bring your hand close to the tap, no, water will come out. Understand? If you take it out, water will be automatically stopped. That is again the solenoid valve. There is IR sensor. If you go there, then the IR sensor will sense your hand. The object. Then it will remove that solenoid. That valve. Then the water will come out. If you take it out, water will be stopped now. So these are all the application of the electromechanical switch. That is a solenoid valve switch now. So we are going to use 3 solenoid valve switches here. So the intention is D1, D2, T3 should be sometimes on and then sometimes off. That means finally this output is there, no? This fellow should be 0. It should be on for some time, then it should be off. It should be on for some time, it should be off now. In the same way D2 also. In the same way D3 also now. You understand, no? But the user will select what kind of drink he looks for or he wants now. Therefore, here input, drink selection. there are 3 switches. This is maybe drink 1 out, drink 2 out, drink 3 out. This is a drink 1 in, drink 2 in, and then drink 3 in. Drink 3 in now. So what is the idea now? That means this fellow presses this button, then the system should deliver him drink 1. That means this control, because this control goes into the solenoid valve now. There is a separate system. Mechanical system is a separate system. We talk about the vending machine controller only now. The controller is sitting in our FPGA now. All other actions are happening around it now, right? So he is giving the input here. So D11 is the input. If he presses this button, if this button if he makes push, if he makes on, then the system should understand that that fellow requires a input. You understand now? That fellow required first drink. If this is on, then that fellow system should understand that he required second drink. In the same way for third drink now, right? So this is the idea, mapping of a drink selection. This is nothing but drink selection or drink choice, drink selection. Then this is nothing but drink delivery control. Drink delivery control. So drink selection, drink delivery control. Correct or no? Uske baile, there should be one more button called a start button. So the user what should do? User should come here. He will press the start button first of all. So system will understand that there is one user request. So this is the start button. Start button. So user will press the start button. All these buttons are with a proper label on the keypad. So user is standing before the vending machine. Then he will come to start button. First step is start button press. Then second. So start button press aane ke baad, then that fellow should put the coin. Correct? No? Coin now. So now we will take the 5 rupees is the coin now. 5 rupees is the, that fellow user should drop 5 rupees coin to get it any kind of drinks now. So assume that our drink cost is 5 rupees now. Right? So this is another one mechanical system is there. That mechanical system will sense what is the value of the coin that the user dropped there. Then that fellow will give input into this vending machine control. This is not the FPGA job. Like how the drinks delivery is not the FPGA job. But the FPGA job is controlling the solenoid valve. Solenoid valve will control the delivery of the drinks. Sir, once, yes sir. Just 1 minute here. Yes. So now the because our hello, all of you there?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So now you look here. Now this is the main master control, right? Our FPGA is always a heart, no? Because this fellow will take care of every control, right? So solenoid valve will be here, and then here this is the coin. There are so many systems that I will show you after you all come here. So this is the coin value sensor. The optical camera based system is there, weight based system is there. There are so many systems that is not of our interest right now. So anyway, the user is dropping the coin here, right? User is dropping the coin here. That the hole is there, coin drop hole is there, right? He is dropping the coin, and then this sensor will give the value into this FPGA now, our FPGA now. So maximum we are looking for 5 rupees, right? 5 rupees now. So if we assume that maximum coin is nowadays 10 rupees, right? No, 10 rupees now. So 10 rupees means this sensor will give the data into this FPGA. 10 rupees means it will go in the binary form only, because our FPGA will accept only binary form now, right? So the input can be either maybe 1 rupee is there, still 1 rupee is there, no? So 0, 0, 0, 1, or 2 rupees also is there, 0, 0, 1, 0, right? There is no 3 rupees coin, there is no 4 rupees coin, but there is a 5 rupees coin is there, 0, 1, 0, 0, or next there is a 10 rupees coin is there, 1, 0, 1, 0, 20 rupees coin also is there, no? 100 rupees coin also is there, no? Nowadays,
Sir,
100 rupees.
Sir, 0101 should be the 5.
Oh, yes. You are correct. Very good, Anvisha. Okay. So this is for 1 rupee. This is for rupees 2. This is for rupees 5. This is for rupees 10. Otherwise, we will limit our input into for 10 this much only now. Don't go beyond that. We assume. So our system will allow 1 rupee, 2 rupees coin, or 5 rupees coin, or 10 rupees coin now, right? So user is dropping the coin through this hole. This fellow is sensing the value, and then it gives the input into this vending machine controller now. See, so what is the flow now? First flow is this start should be on. To initiate all this control, start should be on. So in the vending machine control, it has to be displayed that first step, press start button. Second, drop your coins, right? So our system should be in the S0 state. Our system should be in the S0 state as long as start button got pressed. Correct, no? So once it get pressed, then it should go into some other state now. Start button is as long as 0, no pulse is coming now. You understand now? No pulse is coming now. Then it should be in the same state. So here the control is based on only the start. Only the start. So as long as the start is 0, as long as the start is 0, you understand, no? As long as start is 0, then the state should be in the S0. See, there are so many inputs, but at the first state, the system should expect only for the input from the start button, not any other buttons, because the other inputs will be taken care subsequently, right? So first step should be start should be on now, right? You clearly understand this will be applied in the so many applications subsequently now, because what we have seen, no, that is a basic funda. So we are going to apply in certain application. Doesn't mean that all the time we should look for the input. No, it's an ayuga. Sometimes you should look for this input. Sometimes you should look for this input. Sometimes you have to make this one at one state on. Then after going into some more state, you should make it off. Correct? No? So you have to take care of all the management in this application. So therefore, so S0 hey either. S0 hey. So as long as the start button is 0, then I have to be there in the S0 only now. Suppose if start button becomes 1, then if start is equal to 1. In this case, no, all the time the output should be 0, 0 only now. Correct? No, we got to ensure that here also D1 0 equal to 0, and then D2 0 equal to 0, and then D3 0 equal to 0, output equal to 0. Everything should be 0 now, right? Right. Then if start equal to 1, then I am going into S2, S1. So you can go for Mori model, you can go for Mealy model. So we prefer to here Mealy model, Mealy FSM now. So after going into S1 state now I got to look for the coin values, coin input now. Correct? No? I got to look for the coin inputs now. So when I'm looking for the coin input, then if 1 rupees is coming, then I got to go to another state and look for the further coins. Correct? No? Further coins. So in order to indicate to the user, I am displaying one green color LED here. So or red color LED here, red color LED. So once the start button is on, then when the process goes into S1 state, then this red color LED should be on. As long as the red color LED is on, the user should drop the coin. It means that the system does not get the sufficient coin to move further. Now. So 1 rupee coin he dropped. You understand now? 1 rupee coin he dropped now. After start, immediately after going to S1, here, after going to S1, no, make your LED on, red color LED on, and then go to your S1 on now, S1 state. In S1 state, right, then it is displayed already, drop your coin. When the red color LED is on, drop your coin. So you will put 1 rupee. If 1 rupee is coming, then he has to, 1 rupee is coming, then he should go to S2 state, maintain the LED on, because it's insufficient coin now. But internally your counter you should increment, internally in your counter, you should increment that 1 rupee coin is received. Correct? No? 1 rupee value is received. Though I am in S2 now. So when I am in S2 in the sense, I received 1 rupee coin. I received 1 rupee coin now. Correct? No? Then if another that fellow is putting 1 rupee, another 1 rupee, I should go to S3. Still the condition should exist now. I should not make this red color LED off because still insufficient coin only now. Right. So I am in S3 now. Suppose user is dropping 2 rupees directly. Then I should go into this S3 state now. When if the here, I'm giving here coin. Here if coin equal to 1 rupee. Here if coin equal to 1. If here, if coin equal to 2. Correct, no? If coin equal to 2. Understand, no? Then 3 rupees will not come. 4 rupees will not come. If 5 rupees comes, if 5 rupee comes here, then I should go into coin is equal to 5. If 5 rupee comes here, then I should go into S4 state where I need to read this input. I need to read this input and then I should make the LED off, red color LED off. Red color LED off and then green color LED on. Green color LED on. Matlab, one more LED is there. That is the green color LED. When green color LED is on, select the drink. Choose your drink. It is displayed already there. Right? The instruction sheet is sticked on that. Right? So, when green LED is on, then choose your drinks. Then that fellow will press this button now. So, after going to this state, S4 state, he should look for the user input selection. You got the idea no now? Right. Then next, coin 1, S3. Okay, you come now. So here S3 is there. Again, he will put 1 rupee or 2 rupees now. Then again, you go to continue. Understand? Continue. But further, at one stage, you will come to this state. At one stage, you will come to at this stage now. Now the question is, if he dropped 10 rupees, if he dropped 10 rupees, correct? Or if he dropped 2 rupees, then we got to give balance, no? Understand? We got to give balance, no? If 5 rupees, 10 rupees is dropped, you should know how much balance we should give now. Accordingly, you have to activate the balance delivery system. Then, maybe this is the balance outlet. This is the balance outlet now, correct? Then one more control will come from here. This is the balance. Balance, right? That means the binary control will go to that system. There is one more embedded system. That system will appropriately deliver the coin here now, right? So you should take care of the computing, calculating the balance also. We should be able to calculate the balance also now. So now I leave it to you. You complete the state diagram and be ready for the afternoon lab now. You use your knowledge, whatever we gained so far, use your knowledge. Then you should use your FPGA programming knowledge. Then you complete the state diagram. Alag karo. You still, based on your knowledge, you do it. In the simulation, we will check whether your system is working or not. Then we will correct it up there. So the idea is, first step is start checking the start button. Second step is activating the red color LED and then expecting the coin drops. Then calculating whether the sufficient amount of coin is dropped or not. Right? If more than sufficient is there, then balance kitna paise. Then ultimately coming to one state. From there, expecting the green LED, making the green LED on, and then expecting the user input for drink selection. Once a drink selected, then activating the respective solenoid valve for some time on. That means, suppose I'm reading the input, I'm going to one state now, maybe S6 for example. Then while going to this state, then the respective LED should be on. Right? If it is a D11, D1I, D10 should be on. D2I, D20 should be on. D3I, D30 should be on. Right? Then on only for few seconds now, because should not keep always on. Then that fellow will drink pura drinks by giving 5 rupees only now. Therefore, go to one more state. S6 here, maybe S9 may make it off. Make that fellow off now. Right? You see, S6, S7, S8, S9 are the just intermediate states without any action. Intermediate states here without any action. But S9 may, I'm making the drink off. Correct. So once the drink off, then I am going back to this state. I mean, delivery here, another branch is for balance delivery. So all these things, we are going there. Right. So dear students, most of the control happens like this only now. Therefore, the state machine design, finite state machine design, right? Finite in the means there will be certain number of states only now. It is not infinite states now. So finite state machine design is very much essential for lot of control applications. because so many applications are in sudden sequence. They should be executed in sudden sequence now, right? So all the sequence will be executed, or the execution will happen based on the predetermined sequence by using the FSM. Therefore, the FSM design is very much essential. It is required for several industrial and research applications now, right? Any doubt on this one, please ask me. So maybe your tea break or maybe your lunch break, you complete the state diagram and be ready afternoon. If no doubt, we can proceed. Any questions on this? How to proceed further? Any doubt? Any questions? No. All of you there or not? Am I in connection with you all?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay, good. Then we proceed into controller. All those things will come as your project also, that I will give you after this module. Next, we are synchronous circuit design is over. Means you can go for Mealy model, Mori model. That is a standard procedures for synchronous circuit design. So flip-flop conversion, what is flip-flop, what is its characteristics table, state transition control. So same thing you have to apply now, right? Same thing you should apply. I will give you one.
Sir, you say Mealy FSM binary to gray code conversion. You are giving.
Acha. That is done, no?
No.
Equation. Why? Okay, that Sai also remind me yesterday. Maybe we will discuss next class, May. Huh?
Okay, sir.
But how many you have completed or not?
Completed, sir, but we don't know that's correct or not.
Okay. We will check. Maybe afternoon now, before starting the lab, we will check it now. Huh?
Okay, sir.
Okay, right. Very good. Okay. So synchronous sequential circuit is over. Next, we proceed into asynchronous sequential circuits. Asynchronous sequential circuit is highly complicated, right? And then it will unnecessarily, it will, because of its inherent architecture, give us a lot of challenges, right? One should address a lot of challenges, and one should apply the state reduction algorithm, merger diagram, right? And then our state reduction techniques, implication table, permittive table. We need to analyze so many things in this design because it has a lot of inherent issues. Inherent issues in the sense, inherent characteristics issues. But upon solving all those things, it will give us a lot of advantages and benefits over the synchronous sequential circuits. We will look now what is the general architecture. What is the reason for giving all these limitations or the complications in the design of sequential circuits based on the asynchronous circuits, right? So analysis and design of asynchronous antonyms, right? Periodic, aperiodic, like that. Synchronous, asynchronous sequential circuits. Right? The general architecture of asynchronous sequential circuit is same like the sequential circuit, but with some difference. This is called next state generating function. Then this goes into memory. Then it goes into output state generating function. Output generating function. Then Y. Then X. I would like to give you one input here. One experiment for you all. You do it now. you design the sequence detector. I mean, for you take for your practice, your homework. Design the sequence detector to recognize. Design the sequence detector to recognize the sequence. To recognize the sequence 11, 10, 01, 10. 11, 10, 01, 10. Right? Means what is the idea now? That there are two inputs now. There are two inputs now, x1, x2, and then only will be only y1 output y1 now. So parallelly the system is reading inputs now. So x1 is 1, 1, and then 1, 0, and then 0, 1, and then 1, 0. The output should be high. Output should be high. Otherwise output should be 0 now. Right now, this is the parallel input. Instead of 1 bit, so now the state diagram will be, if S0 is there, so as long as 1, 1 is coming, it will go to S1. It will go to S1, right? Any other combination is coming other than 1, 1, then the circuit will not move anywhere. Circuit will not move anywhere because it is in this transition now. Then, if again 1, 1 is coming, it has to be here. Correct? No, it has to be here. Or if 1, 0 is coming, it will move somewhere. You understand the idea, no? Right. So this one you practice now. This one you practice. One. Second one is another one practice for you is 1, 1, 0, 1, 1, 0 or 1, 0, 0, 1, 0, 1, 0, 0. These two sequences, if these two sequences are coming, if these two are coming, then your circuit should be able to detect it now. This will be either 1, 1, 0, 1, 1, 0 also LED should be on, or 0, 1, 0, 0, 1, 1, 0, 0, 1, 0, 0 also LED should be on now. You understand now? You got the idea now? What is the question? So you draw the state diagram for this two. You draw the state diagram for this two and then make the circuit also for this two. Till your circuit implementation. Till your circuit implementation using D flip-flop for both case. D flip-flop for both case now. Right. So after coming here, you can implement all those things in your FPGA and then you will enjoy by seeing your own output in the board. See, I tell you, dear students, whenever you are seeing that your system is working, your program is running, your code is working, no, you will be so happy. You cannot get such a joy and happy by anything. I'm telling you, your parents cannot give you, food cannot give you, nothing can give you. You will be in the, so excited state because your system is working. Correct? No? Your code is running, your controller is working. You will be so happy. If you really want to become the core hard engineer, your core field engineer, you should have this one now, right? You should be happy when you see that your system is working, your 7 segment is running, right? Good. Then, okay, fine. Then the input also will go there, like our other thing, or Mori, Mealy model, all are here applicable. All are here applicable. So input, directly input will go there. If it goes there, that is called the Mealy asynchronous sequential circuits. If it is not going there, that is called Mori asynchronous sequential circuits, right? And then the feedback also will come here. Feedback also will come here now, right? Okay, now this is the general block diagram of asynchronous sequential circuits. General structure, general architecture or structure. General structure of asynchronous sequential circuits. That is ASSC, asynchronous sequential circuits. But now the problem is here, you look what happened here. See, in asynchronous sequential circuits, no clock. No clock. If no clock is there, then all the problem will come. Correct? No, because the memory will not be in your control. Understand? And then the transition of this input into this input also is not in your control. No clock, also no enable. No clock, also no enable now. So what happened now? The problem is, suppose if you change your input, because we know that this is one combinational circuit. This is a combinational circuit. Correct? No? This is a combinational circuit. And this is also a combinational circuit. And this is a, now since there is no clock, there is no enable, therefore it is a raw latch now. It is a complete latch now. It is a full latch now. Correct? Uncontrolled latch now. No enable, no clock, nothing is there. It is a raw latch now. You understand? So raw latch